Welcome to episode 2 of Aligned Minds. I am here with my client, Sam Fabode. Is it your last name Fabode or Fabode?
Wow, it's Fabode.
I know.
I am,
Isn't
and
that sad?
on this podcast, wow. Wow.
We'll cut. We'll try again.
Nope, this is staying in. It has to. Fabode.
No, please cut that out. Welcome. So she's not only my client, but she is also my coach / trainer for my body. She has helped me transform myself along with my mindset as well, because it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I was thinking about that on my drive here. I was like, it's so interesting how what you do in your hypnotherapy is basically helping people restructure their mindset and their thoughts and their purpose and their intentions. But I do the same thing, but just on a like fitness and body level.
Yeah.
And yours is just mind completely. So I think that's interesting how we've been able to trade off that benefit for each other.
Because not only were you my client, but where I am your client, I am also susceptible to negative thinking sometimes,
Right.
And letting my thoughts get away from me. And you have helped me get my stuff back together, talking me off a ledge several times. So you're good at it too, sister.
Yeah, but like you said, and we've said this both, I think, a million times, especially like when we get down on ourselves, it's so hard to take your own advice, and you can be so good at helping people redirect their thoughts and more positive thinking. But when you're in the thick of it and you're down and out on yourself, it's just like, there's no such thing as these positive thoughts. They don't exist.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're on that vibe, right? When you're on that vibe down here, you can't be thinking those good thoughts up here.
Yeah.
You can't jump from here to here. It's like a gradual, it's a gradual increase. That's why it's so important, I think, to have a coach to help you, because sometimes you can't see your nose despite your face. You know what I mean? So you need that outside perspective to help pull you just a little. And then, because really all that work is inner work, nobody else can fill you up. Nobody else can validate you. Nobody else can do all that for you. You have to do it for yourself, but you need that. Sometimes that guiding light to help you get a different perspective.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I feel like a coach in what you and I do is the guardrails, because it's like, fad diets, for example. I can't tell you how many clients come to me and they're like, I've tried everything. I tried this and this and this and this. And I'm like, they're like, I just need direction. And I'm like, I'm here for it. And then we put the guardrails on and we tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
And they finally can take that path and see those results.
Yep.
And so exactly what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So people come to me like, well, let's talk about your experience and what you went through. So tell everybody why you wanted to get hypnotherapy.
It's for a variety of things. So first I bodybuild and I compete. I'll back up a little bit and tell the world about myself a little bit. My husband and I own a gym. We coach competitors. My husband coaches me. And I feel like a lot of people, my clients and other individuals, look up to me and want to do things that I do. And it's a lot of pressure sometimes, because I'm like, dang, man, I can't slip up. Like, I gotta be like on it all the time.
Right.
And set an example. And so my prep for my show, I was, I think, 8 weeks out when we first did our first session, 8 to 10 weeks out. And so I was dealing with that, and that didn't surface more until maybe a little later on when we did our second session. But my first session, I noticed that when you're on prep, you're hungry, you're tired. And so a lot of emotion that's buried deep starts to surface, because it's like you have no capacity to hold it down.
Right.
And so she helped me work through a lot of things that started surfacing that really I couldn't just work through on my own. I needed guardrails. I needed guidance because I was it was affecting other people in my life. Like
Right.
my buildup of emotion and stress and anger and sadness from past trauma that I needed to work through and didn't know how to was just surfacing. And like it was like a toxic environment for people to come into my bubble. And it made me sad because I could see people being sad around me and wanting to help me, but they're like when they would say something, I would just be like, and so having an outside perspective, and it was hard for me too because you know, you're my client.
Yeah.
And so that was even more uncomfortable at first.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I'm like, I need her to look up to me. I need to set the tone. I need to show her that she can do this. And yet here I am like, help. I can't do this on my own.
I'm really glad you did, though. And I mean, honestly, I could see it all over. Did you get lip gloss on the mic?
I think I did.
A little present for you, Cam. I feel like it was written all over you.
Yeah.
You know, I think you felt like you were hiding it, but I think that's a skill I have too. You know, kids who grow up in a household where they aren't nurtured and loved, and are walking on eggshells, they get a feel for people before you even say anything because, you know, you learn that from a young age. You learn that, oh, wait a minute. Now, is this one in a good mood or a bad mood? And what do I need to do? Because you don't want to make anybody mad. You don't want to piss anybody off. So you're always like on guard. And then we grow up and then like we are very good intuitively at reading people. And so I could read that. You were really like tired and struggling and you weren't being your best self. And I was ecstatic when I offered. I was like, hey, you want to do a session?
And I was like, I said yes, but I was still a little hesitant in the beginning. But I also was so relieved because I think that is, like you said, one of your biggest gifts, given your past and given the career that you've chosen. You can identify those people. But for me, like my closest girlfriends didn't ask me what was wrong. It's like they didn't even notice.
Right.
And that was the hardest part too, because I'm like, well, I mean,
right.
maybe no one cares.
Right.
Maybe no one wants to help me, or maybe it's not all, I don't know. Like it was a whole lot. And I'm like, I guess I'll just continue to do this on my own like I've been trying to, but it just wasn't cutting it.
And coming back to that, you know, I'll do this on my own. That was when I put you in hypnosis. That was one of the things that you always thought growing up. I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
I can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
I'll just do it on my own. And so there you were again, and we all know that you're loved and nurtured. Like you have the most beautiful marriage. And so not saying anything against Danny.
Oh, no, he's wonderful.
He
knew something was wrong. He knew. I think he was probably like the one person that knew, but it's like he also coaches me. And I'm like, how much can I dump on this man? You know, he's got 60 clients he's taking care of. They're struggling with things. Like, I don't want to be like, he's got to take care of other people. I don't, you know. So for you to be like, give me your problems, let me help you. I was just like, thank God. Like, and you know, and it's someone I can trust, someone that I know, and someone that I know is good at what they're doing too. That's scary. It's like when people look for a fitness coach, they're like, well, is this fitness coach going to put me on all kinds of stuff that's going to interfere with my health?
Right.
You know, it's scary. You don't know who to trust, but having that friendship and that relationship with you prior, like if I would have just met you and not coached you before and not really knew of you, I would have been so hesitant. I'm like,
you wouldn't have opened up.
No, I would have been like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm good.
But I'm so glad you did, though, because you
too.
really needed it. And
And I cried. I was like, I'm not going to cry. I cried.
yeah, I feel like I haven't done my job unless you cry.
And I told myself, I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to allow it to, like, I'm fully going to open up, but I am not going to cry. I told myself I wouldn't.
Yeah. But it's hard for people like you who have very strong character and have always taken care of themselves and essentially have their shit together in life, to say, hey, I need help. And
I'm struggling.
that is, and that was really, really powerful. I love that about you. And that transparency, and that's not easy for you, being transparent and letting people in. That was the biggest thing, is letting somebody in and knowing what was really going on with you. But I am so honored that I got to do that. And I'm really honored and grateful that I got to be there and help you transform those feelings. That's like the best part of my job. I am really lucky to do what I do.
It's great. And I know we'll like dive more into like my personal experience and what we did and everything. But, I'm in a different stage of my life now again. And I feel like there's always these seasons of your life that you're going through. And oddly enough, the last recording you did for me leading up like a week and a half, 2 weeks out from my first show, I'm still listening to it today because everyone's always mentally struggling with something, but it's different this season for me what I'm struggling with. But that recording still helps me shift my mindset to a more positive one when I'm negative, when I'm down on myself, because I've gained some weight that I am supposed to gain.
Right.
And now I'm, gonna lose it again on prep again.
Yeah.
But like mentally, to see your body shift in that has been really challenging. And I'm sure we'll go more into that, but just know that I am still listening to, especially when I pose, because that last line on that last one,
gets you every time.
It gets me every time. I'm like, I am unstoppable.
Because you are. And that's what that recording is for. Cam just asked me, he's like, do you do like a membership thing, like daily affirmations or something? I'm like, no, because if my clients are struggling, they have the ability to reach out to me, text me, call me, or come in, whatever they want to do. But they normally don't, because they have that recording and they love their recordings and they listen to their recordings, and that helps them shift whatever, ditch they get into. Sometimes they reach out, which is perfectly fine. I like for them to, but they love their recordings. And honestly, it's what you have to do though, Sam. You have to listen to those recordings because that helps solidify that groundwork we did in the hypnosis session. And so a belief is just a thought you continue to think.
Yeah. So
if you keep thinking these good thoughts, then you get to solidify those really good beliefs. Like you are unstoppable, like you are worthy, you are enough, and that's like, you have to inundate your life with stuff like that if you really want true change in your mind. If you have normally been a perpetual negative thinker, you have to just like, I do in my life. I meditate in the mornings. I make sure my day is going to start. I kind of picture my day, how it's going to feel, what it's going to look like, how successful it's going to be. I touch my heart and say wonderful things are going to happen to me today. And that has never failed me. We get so bent out of shape with the little things in life that may, put us in a bad mood. Well, most of the time, you don't have to consider it negative. You can just consider it a situation.
Yeah.
Be neutral about it. We make mountains out of molehills, but it's easier to navigate those things in life when you get some clarity on why you do what you do.
That is exactly it. Because I think everyone, regardless if you had like a traumatizing childhood, I think there's all kinds of different variations of trauma or things that children go through that play a huge role into their adulthood.
Yes.
And they do all these different things, and they do that because of what happened to them as a child, regardless of how extreme it was. Mine wasn't like, mine could have been way worse. There's people who have it way more worse than I did, but I keep thinking back to those things. I'm like, dang, do you hear my stomach?
Is that your stomach?
That is my stomach.
Are you hungry?
No, I'm fine. I'm like, God, I hope this mic isn't picking.
Let me get you a snack.
But forever, I'm like, I did not realize that those were the things that were holding me back, that were suppressing my, like, everything that. And now that I've let go of those things that were holding me back from like 20 years ago, like,
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
great.
Yeah. So that's what Cam and I were talking about a while ago. Like, our patterns of behavior are being ran by things that we picked up in childhood.
Yeah.
So most of the time when I get people in hypnosis and they figure out why they do what they do, it's from a child's perspective. Like when they were 4 years old.
Yeah.
Daddy told me to go to bed roughly. Oh my God, I'm not worthy.
Right?
When you absolutely are, but it's a child's perspective.
Right.
So then, when you figure that out and you realize that in hypnosis and you're just like, oh my God, that's why I can let go of that.
Yeah.
And then you immediately, since it no longer serves a purpose, you let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
And it's so easy to let go of it. So let's talk about your session a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to explain to people first how the hypnosis works. So what I do is I get people very relaxed, and that's all hypnosis is, by the way. I want everybody to know that.
It's not like...
Yeah, you're not like...
different...
unconscious, and I'm just making you cluck like a chicken. It's not what's happening. Hypnosis is just a state of trance, and that is just a relaxation of the nervous system. So I just get you very nice and relaxed, and you are hyper focused. If anything, you're not gone, you haven't gone anywhere, but you're very focused on me and what I'm saying, and that's what I need and that's what I want. And when you're relaxed, the subconscious mind opens up. So I get you nice and relaxed, subconscious mind opens up, and then I regress you back to scenes, memories of where the root of that belief came from. So on Sam's, we went... Do you remember what your first scene was?
I think my first scene was...
And we did your session on control.
Yes.
Your issue was control.
Was the first scene... Was the first scene in the car, was that the second scene?
Yeah, that was the first scene.
That was the first scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
So you driving with a vehicle full of clothes, going to a friend's house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think I was like 17, and my mom, my dad had passed away a few years prior to that, and I didn't have the greatest relationship with my mom after my dad passing, and we were like, maybe, I don't know, she had maybe been like online dating for not even 2 months, just talking to this guy in another state, Texas, and we lived in Arkansas.
Wow.
And she was like, hey, I'm going to go move. I'm going to quit my job and go move to be with this guy in Texas. You can go with me if you want, or you can stay. So in my mind, like, I don't have a good relationship with my mom. She sucked, whatever. I'm going to just go stay with my girlfriend and her mom and finish my senior year. Like,
yeah.
Because who wants to move their senior year? But I was just so angry in that car, and I had like music. It was like Evanescence playing. I was like, I'm so sick. Like, yeah, I was bawling my eyes out, and my car is like full of like boxes of my clothes and my stuff. And I'm frustrated because I know I'm driving to my friend's house, but I'm like, I'm not going to live with them. Like, I'm going to go with my mom. I'm going to take the L. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to change schools my senior year. And I'm going to move in with a man that I have not even really met and know nothing about.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is like, what is the deeper emotion there? And when we got to the deeper emotion, it was spiraling. You felt like you were spiraling because you could not control her decision. No. You had no control over your life. And that was the running theme over the next two memories as well, that scenes that I regressed you to. That's the running theme. I can't control my own life.
Yeah.
And so duh. Just makes sense that then in turn your mind's like, oh, but watch this, you know? So it starts going into overload mode when it tries to control everything. Yeah. So we had that first scene, and then the second scene, you were 20 years old and you had just moved into a new apartment with your boyfriend. You remember that one? Okay. If you want to talk about it.
Is that when my mom decided to leave again?
No, that was when you found out he was
Oh,
been
yes.
with another woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've honestly, ever since we went over a lot of these,
I know.
I like don't even think about them
I'm
anymore.
the same. I've had hypnosis sessions and I'm just like, I can't even tell you what my scenes were in those sessions. I'm just like, it's like a non-player, you know,
It
just does
is.
not
And
matter.
I used to spend a lot of time sitting
Circling
in
that.
in
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know,
Ruminating.
yeah.
Yeah.
But with that second scene, again, I felt like something was happening where I had no control over. And I had been with a man for a while, and we moved in together, and because we rushed and moved in together, actually,
Yeah.
because my mom decided to move back to Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was working like 2 jobs just to afford this apartment. I moved in with this guy. I thought he was going to be the guy I married, which I did end up marrying. Joke's on me. But
It happens.
he cheated on me, and I just, my worth, I had no worth. I had no control. It was just like, again, like I can't do anything about what's going on in my life, and it drove me nuts.
Right. And I always try to get to like the core emotion of these scenes. And the core emotion was, that she said, I don't have a hold on my life. I need to be better. I need to be stronger. So, you're definitely stronger. And mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So, but that's funny how that kind of coincides with what you do today.
It is funny.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's why I like the one thing I always say is like, nothing in this life is ever wasted, ever.
No, everything is it all adds up for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I can say that, my drug addiction was for a purpose, getting raped and getting pregnant from it it served a purpose. There's so many lessons I've learned, and nothing in my life is wasted. Absolutely nothing. So you can learn from all of it. You have to insist on finding that positive. So, but anyway, I digress. So your third scene was you were 25 and you were in your house with your ex and you went through his phone.
Yep.
And to see that he was dating. So you want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So to kind of segue off of story 2, I was dating that guy for a while. We'd been together for a couple years and he cheated on me. So we split up. I was financially struggling. It was a bad time. And I started getting some independence. But a year went by and he comes crawling back into my life and I take him back.
Yeah.
And it's just as unhappy as ever, but he's comfortable. I know him.
Yeah.
And all that little independence I started working on, I was like, it's like it went away.
Yeah.
And we ended up being together for a few years. We ended up getting married. We weren't even married a year.
Yeah.
And I see his phone going off in the kitchen over and over. And I just open it, and I've never been one to like dig through things because it's like, I'm married to you. I trust you. That's why I married you.
Right.
And it's just like pictures and words and conversation back and forth between a girl. And then as, things go on, I find out it's with men and other people that I know, old people, young people in places that he shouldn't have been. And it was just like, I just felt stupid and even more out of control that next time. Because I'm like, I could have controlled this and then I chose not to.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was awful.
but it was all for a bigger purpose.
It was. Yeah.
It gives you a deeper understanding. Like, so this is how life works. It's like, it's going to show you these things. And when it's something we don't prefer, we're supposed to learn from it. We're supposed to be like, oh, I don't prefer that.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, there's something going on in me that makes me attract that kind of a person or have this kind of experience. Maybe there's something you need to take a look at inside of me. Everybody always wants to blame the outside. Yes, what he did was wrong, and I'm not validating that. But you have to admit that you had an experience you didn't prefer. You have some responsibility in that.
I do. And I like what you said, though. There was something about him, that kept you coming back. That's why people stay in those toxic relationships. Yep. And he always seemed like he had way more control of his life. Like he had a better job than I did. He had more stability. Mm-hmm. He seemed more successful than me. Mm-hmm. And I wanted those things for myself. So I think I clung to that. I don't think I ever even really loved him. I think I cared about him.
Right.
But I definitely didn't love him.
Right. No. That was just you attracted that because there were some deeper things, deeper issues, that feeling of not being in control, that you were doing something wrong. It wanted you to look at it. Like, it's like, hello, take a look at me. Oh, you didn't learn the first time.
Let's do it again.
Let's marry him this time.
Let's intertwine finances. That'll do it.
Let's learn this time.
And in fact, let's buy a house together. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, but that's how life works. It's like if you don't pick up on it the first time and realize that there's something on the inside that you need to work on, that needs to be taking a look at how we need to love on this young Sam so that she knows that there's nothing wrong with her. She hasn't done anything wrong. And that she's absolutely worthy. She is in control, but really how much control are we ever?
Yeah, but I like that you mentioned that too, because that's something that I didn't highlight, is that out of all these experiences, I kept feeling like there was something wrong with me. Like, wow, my ex and my first thought, getting back together with my ex is like, okay, it wasn't meant to be. Maybe we both had some growing to do. Yeah. And then I was like, dang, it must be me, because still he wants to seek out other people. And even though I had a lot more worth at that point, I still was like, it's me. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. Maybe I'm not fit enough. Maybe I'm not successful enough.
Yeah.
And it's constantly me degrading myself.
Yes, and that's what every girl does, right? Yeah. Because we're not taught to not do that.
Yeah.
We're not taught. This is just an emotion. This does not mean tearing yourself down. This means this emotion isn't what you call a quote unquote negative emotion. Okay, well, that's just an indicator that you've got a belief going on for you that's not serving you. So that's when we're supposed to take a look at that belief. Oh, well, and that's why they say acknowledge your negative beliefs. Yes, acknowledge it, because the more that you resist, the more it will persist. It will come back even stronger, and it'll be like, hey, that really annoying friend that you don't want to talk to. Hello, take a look at me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, pay attention to me. So, but it doesn't, like I said a while ago, we make mountains out of molehills, and we don't always have to, it doesn't always have to be so heavy and so negative. And then it just kind of snowballs into what you were talking about. Like, then we start talking bad about ourselves or thinking bad about ourselves. And then we start tearing ourselves down. And then, these poor girls out here running around in booty shorts trying to get validation from a guy,
Who's
know what I mean?
Talking to like 10 other women.
Exactly. And really it's just an inner thing. And, these negative beliefs you just need some help getting a different perspective.
Yeah. And like, even more so now than ever, I feel like people need someone like you to coach them and guide them, because there's so many unhealthy influences like social media.
Yes.
And like, I feel like social media, at least for me, has really started becoming a big thing maybe in the last like 5 years in my life.
Yeah.
I know it's been around a lot more, but I obviously haven't really indulged in it, but it's such a huge part of people's lives, and it makes it even harder for you to get out of that hole yourself. And
Yep.
I needed you to get out of my hole. Like,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Well, I was happy to be there. That's what makes me, it fills me up, when you
Yeah.
get to do your passion. Yeah. I was really happy to be there for that.
I was happy to get pulled out because it was tough.
I'm really grateful for you to be here and to be transparent so that people understand, even, the most beautiful of people with the most perfect physique and you've got your boss lady, with your own business and gym and clients and doing the damn thing. But you had a problem and you got help with it. And I think that's the transparency and authenticity of that is exactly what the world is craving right now.
And I don't get me wrong, like, you didn't solve all my problems, but you
Right.
gave me the tools and the resources I needed to get through, because like I was telling you earlier, like, I'm in a different season. I'm struggling with totally different things, but I'm using the tools and resources you gave me to still pull myself out of it, to shift my
Right.
mindset into a more positive and healthy environment. And I just, it's great.
Right.
Like, I feel unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing. And I'm glad you said it that way, because I wouldn't ever claim to, like, I'm going to fix all of your problems. No, you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't have a magic wand. All I do is help you get to the root of why you do what you do. And we pivot that and we start perpetuating the thoughts and feelings we want to think now. And that's all life is perpetuating what you want and thinking what you want right now.
I am so sorry. I'm like, God, I hope she can't hear this. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear that.
I'm not hungry. I'm so sorry. That was great. Continue.
But anyway, so I just want to give people that release, and it's essentially what it takes, I think, to help grow. You need the coach, you need the guidance, because I needed the guidance from you. I couldn't lose weight. I couldn't get in shape. I didn't know what to eat. I didn't know how to work out. And so I got a coach for that, and that's when you've got something you're struggling with. And now that, for example, I've got my coach and she's taught me how to eat properly, and she's taught me how to work out, and she's taught me the good exercises and for what, and how to talk to myself and how to be. And I'm a totally different person now than I was when we first started. And that's what life's about, right? Evolving, expanding, becoming better, becoming more. And, so you have helped me tremendously grow in that area. And I feel like every client I have gets to grow in the mental area as well. It's not like just because you're my coach doesn't mean I'm going to get fit and be fit tomorrow. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes dedication. So does, your mental health. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes dedication, sticking with it. You can't just like have one session and just be one and done. I'm like, oh, my life's good now. I'm good to go.
No, it definitely wasn't that. And, you had recommended listen to these recordings at night, listen to them first thing in the morning.
Yep.
So you start and end your day on a positive, healthy note. And there was one morning I didn't do it. And I think I had done it like maybe 4 or 5 mornings. And I didn't do it like that 6th morning. And I was like, I'll be good. Like, I'm okay. I had one of my crappiest days that day. I was just pissed off at everybody. I get to the gym. We've got 2 ellipticals. And that's the machine I want to use for my cardio. And they were both taken. I was like, well, okay, this is how the day is going to go. And it was like, again, that was so small.
Yeah.
But because I didn't wake up and start my day in a positive mindset, positive affirmations, it, like the elliptical thing ruined my whole day. I was pissy and cranky towards everyone. Danny was asking me what was wrong. And I didn't realize until the next day when I actually had time set aside to listen to it in that morning. I was like, that's what it was. Like, I didn't give myself love and allow myself time to breathe and collect my thoughts and be positive that morning. I was in a rush. Just like everyone is. Everyone's in a rush. They don't have time. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to mental health, you
Right.
know, but you have to make time. It's
Yep.
so important.
You just can't go into your day and expect it to, and just let it happen to you.
Yeah.
You know, and just take what comes. That's not living life. That's not what you do. What you do is you set your day up for success. And I mean, get up. I meditate. You know, I go into a space where and meditation's not thinking any thoughts. I mean, it can be, but when I meditate is either listen to a recording I've made for myself or listening to a heart meditation, it's guided heart meditation, just something that makes me feel good on a soul level.
Yeah.
And that alone, and then when you come out of that meditation or listening to that recording, you take those emotions with you the rest of the day, and it sets the tone.
Yeah.
It sets the tone for how you look at everything that comes into your day. It sets the tone for how you're acting the rest of the day. It sets the tone for how you what you consider good or bad for the rest of your day.
And how you interact with people the rest of the day. It's so important.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there was one key, there's never just one thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if there was the most important thing, one tool I could give people, it would be, you remember when I told you right before you get out of bed to lay there?
Yeah. And to allow yourself
Yes.
the time to wake up.
Yes.
People don't do that. And I didn't realize that I wasn't doing that for myself until you're like, no, I need you to actually do this. Like when my alarm goes off, I am like, I'm not even thinking. I'm just go, go, go,
Feet
go,
hit the
go.
floor
Feet
and
to the
just go.
floor.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm like, and oftentimes I don't even, when I would do that, I wouldn't even have time to think for myself.
Yeah.
Until like 2:00 in the afternoon when I'm physically forced to because I'm at capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that point, it's too late. Like the
Right.
day is gone.
Right. And then you're literally just like a sheep on this earth. You know what I mean? Like you're not living for yourself. You're just checking boxes off.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one good way. That's like the biggest tool I could tell anybody to do before you open your eyes. Like you're awake in bed, but have not opened your eyes yet. So you lay there, and before you open your eyes, before you move, you go straight to your heart and you think about all the wonderful things that make you happy. You think about love, you think about happiness, you think about joy, anything that lights your heart up, anything that would make, your soul come forward a little bit more. And our souls always come forward when we're happy, right? We're in total alignment with who we really are when we're happy, when we're joyful. So, imagine life how you want it to be. What would it feel like? How good would it feel? And that's what you start your morning with before you even open your eyes. You've impressed it upon the subconscious, and being obedient as it is, it will take it in and it will then drive your mind to go to that goal. So there you go. You've started your day. You're good to go for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And you do that every day. And guaranteed, if you do that every morning for, 2 weeks, you're a totally different person.
You are.
You have a totally different outlook.
I told you too, because I ran it by you and you're like, hey, don't do this, but do that.
Yeah.
I've shifted that. And I originally told Dawn, I was like, hey, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to starting my morning off, allowing myself 30 minutes to have my cup of coffee and write down in a notebook all the things that I think are going well, my goals and blah, 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 and all the things that I need to improve that I suck at. And she was like, Sam, you should not write down things that you suck at. You should write down only positive things, because then you will spend your time dwelling on those negative things. I was like, you're right. I probably shouldn't do that. So now every morning since the beginning of the year, and I hate saying the cliche like new year, new me, but that's something I really wanted to do for myself this year. So now I get up, I sit at my desk, I get my cup of coffee, I write down things, and I don't write down the same thing every day. And it might just be one thing, but I could be like, Monday, February 3rd, I'm so grateful that I have such an amazing husband and a wonderful marriage. And then the next day I could be like, I'm so grateful for the gym, even though I'm super stressed out and tired a lot of the times. It's my dream and I'm living it, and this is great, and I'm thankful. Just something that small. And it it just makes me feel at peace and happy and just in a totally different mindset.
Yeah. I've never been a big journaler, but when you write things down with intention, especially the good things, it matters because it's like really sets it in stone, right? Like I mean this has intention because I wrote it down.
Yeah. And like the other day I was having a bad day and it had only been like 3 weeks in the month of January, but I had wrote 21 days ish at that time. And I was pissed off and I was at my desk and I just flipped through the first 21 days and glanced over all these things that I'm happy about that are going great. And the thing that was pissing me off that literally like was irrelevant, like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I even doing being upset about this? Like, why am I letting this ruin my day? Look at all these great things. And then it was like, I was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the journaling thing, I wasn't down for it, originally at first. Yeah. I'm like, I'll always try something once.
Yeah.
So.
I'm loving that you're doing that, though. I used to do that as well. But no, we don't want to write down the things that we need to work on.
I need to lose 5 pounds by May.
You're just writing down more things as for boxes to check off.
Exactly. And getting it back. It's like you're pushing yourself back into that routine of waking up and feet hit the ground and going.
Yeah. That's just that old wiring that you've got going on. That old wiring. That's what I was telling Cam a while ago. 80% of what you thought today, you thought yesterday, because the neural pathways are well worn, they are established, and unless you are thinking with intention, then you're thinking the same thing you thought yesterday. So when you have a hypnotherapy session like you did and you want to start thinking new thoughts because you want new beliefs, then you have to nurture those. And that's just proof that you have to nurture those new thoughts.
Every day. Yeah.
Because the old circuits are still there and they're ready to swoop you back in if you let them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you nurture the new neural pathways and it's not always super fast and it's not always super slow. It's just, it is what it is. Sometimes, you eventually step into that new being. You are a new person, literally, because you have a new belief.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a new belief, you're a new person. So, now it's up to you or anybody else if they want that to be a good thing or a bad thing, right? So it's all what you nurture, what you perpetuate in your life. If you've got a shitty marriage and you want to talk about all the things he's doing wrong, you're perpetuating that and you're just making it grow bigger because what you put out is what you get back.
Yep.
So when you're putting out all those good vibes and all those good thoughts, then 1, they're coming back to you, and 2, they just make you feel better. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just live in the end of this is going to make me happy? Cool. It's going to make you feel happy. Then just be happy.
Yeah, literally. You only have so much time on the earth, and why don't you spend it being happy?
Right.
Like, I don't want to be cranky and sad and stressed 90% of the time.
Everybody wants their external world to make them happy.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it works.
It just starts here.
That's right. That's right. It just does not work that way. So you've got to intentionally find things to be happy about, and then better and better things come into your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not to sidebar too much, but I mean, right now I'm struggling with, can food make me happy?
Yeah.
And I think, most people probably struggle with that. People resort to food to make them happy a lot of times. And, it was a very temporary time that I got to indulge a little bit in food and seeing the scale go up. I wasn't internally still struggling with those things. It was more of an external, beating myself down about how I looked. But in turn, I would eat more because that would temporarily make me feel better.
I know. Yeah.
So I've been having to balance that, which is in a much better place.
Well, we'll do another session.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We'll do another session on it, and then you can come back and tell everybody about it.
Yeah, I can tell everybody about my Golden Corral trips.
Well, yours is Golden Corral. Mine's like when I get really stressed out and I feel like overwhelmed. It's when I get overwhelmed, and I know it's when you get overwhelmed too. I know it is. And I'm not catching it before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Mine's chocolate, as you know. And skinny margaritas.
I was gonna say in margaritas, but you're like, you would emphasize on the skinny. I'm not getting that bad.
It's not a regular margarita.
It's not a full margarita. I love that on your check-ins, and it's not very often, and that's why I don't dog you when I see that, because you know your whole thing that we're trying to do for you is a healthy lifestyle. Like, you're not trying to be a bodybuilder,
Right.
so you're going to be able to enjoy things like wine and a margarita, and you do it in moderation. And so when you list it on your weekly check-in every once in a while, I'm not upset about it, because I want you to be happy and indulge in those things, but also know, like, hey, it slows down your digestion. It's going to mess with your bowel movements, things of that sort.
Yep.
But yeah, at least you choose a skinny margarita.
I did. Yeah. It was better than the wine I really wanted. And I tell too. I'll be telling on myself.
I'm like, so glad you do, because
I had chips and salsa and a margarita. I'm sorry.
Well, and because if you lie to me about it and I'm like, hey, Dawn, why is your weight up 2 pounds? And you're like, I don't know. I can't tell you how many people like
lie to you about it.
To me about it.
Know.
And I call them out. I'm like, hey, I know that you probably don't want to tell me, and you don't have to right now, but I want you to know that I know that you ate something you weren't supposed to, and this is a safe place.
Yeah.
And I need you to communicate to me when you do these things so that I can help you, because if you're constantly doing this and you're gaining weight and you don't know why, then I'm just going to decrease your food and increase your cardio, which is going to cause you to do this even more. And it's going to be this vicious cycle.
Yep.
And again, it goes back to the transparency. Like you said, it's so important.
Yeah. And I love it. It is a safe space with you, because I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. This is what I had to eat.
Well, I think people a lot of times, like, they maybe think like they're the only one struggling with that. And I'm like, boy, everybody loves food.
Exactly.
Everybody.
Yes. We all like the things that are not good for us. All of us do. But I think, it's like in my situation, you don't want me doing that right now. Like, sometimes you don't care if I do that, but you don't want me doing that right now because, one, I've been out of the gym for a good solid month with that pneumonia, and but not doing cardio for what, 3 months, you said?
Yeah, it was like basically like a 3-month time period where it was like sickness, not getting breathing issues, not being able to do cardio, and like you really only gained a couple of pounds, which is awesome.
Yeah, but it's still,
I know,
it's not where I want to be.
I know, but most people, I would say 9 times out of 10 clients like who are just not as driven and don't want it as bad, they will literally use that as an excuse, and they will just gain 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds.
Instead of just being honest with themselves and just being like, I was honest with myself. I'm like, I did it with intention, but I feel like it doesn't make it better. I mean, it does a little bit mentally, but not physically. You know what I mean? Mentally, I don't want to act like I'm doing something wrong and it's shameful and guilt myself for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is tell my coach, hey, this is what I did. This is why the scale didn't move a whole lot. My bad. Moving on to next week.
It's a new week.
Yeah. And you always make me feel so much better when I do beat up on myself, because I'm not perfect. I mean, I definitely am not perfect.
I don't sugarcoat it though. I'm like, hey, you should have known better.
Yeah.
But it's a new week, and
well, that's why I pay you.
Yeah.
You gotta be honest.
I hate having to I love making people feel good about themselves, and I don't have to do this very often because I feel like I make that safe space for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But sometimes people reserve information from me because it's like they don't want to disappoint me, or maybe, I don't know if they're scared of me or something, but I'm like, girlfriend, I struggle too, okay?
Yeah, it's the same with me. Like, people want to keep information from me too. It's just like,
help me help you.
Right. They're like, I'm like, how was your week? How's your week been? They're like, oh, it's good. I'm like, oh, did you do your, like with you, it's different with everybody. Did you write down all the good things in the morning? Did you do what you said you were going to do? And then we're like, oh yeah. When I know they're lying, I guess, I just fill it out and just know they're lying, but I can't help you unless you tell me what's going on. Like, just,
you have to want it.
Yeah.
You have to want it.
Be transparent. It's okay. This is what the world needs, is more transparency.
It is.
Authenticity. Yeah. So, yeah. But thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that this helps people understand that, you know, in every situation, don't feel like you're the only person in the world who's ever gone through this, who's ever had struggles, who's ever
Yep.
needed help. Everyone needs help.
Yep.
Even, I mean, celebrities
Mm-hmm.
need help.
Yes.
I mean, they're the richest people in the world and
Yep.
they're still not happy.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
for,
Look at Robin Williams.
I
And
mean,
there's just
yeah.
like so many I could list off that die of suicide because they just are not happy. And they, on the outside, it seems like they have everything.
Yeah.
But unless you are happy internally, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how
No.
many places you can go. It doesn't matter. So we've got this life to live, live it to its fullest. Invest in yourself, do good things for yourself, invest in a coach, somebody who can help you get to it. And then, get my beautiful recordings because everybody loves them.
They're wonderful. And like I said earlier, I still use them today. They're extremely helpful for me. And it's like our first recording talking about like my worth and feeling in control. Like I don't even think about those anymore because I feel like I have really finally let go of that stuff that was hanging on to me for
Yep.
so long. And now I can move forward and conquer other challenges and difficulties that come my way.
Exactly. And that's how it works. It's like peeling the layers of an onion, So we get done with this one. Cool. Awesome. This one's under control. I got it. So let's move on to the next one and we'll do another session on the next thing that,
Yeah.
that we want, the next baggage we want to let go of. Yeah.
I will say too, I think, and I feel like maybe some people might disagree with me, but I feel like bodybuilders or people in fitness are harder on themselves than the average person because of social media and because they have this standard that they
Yep.
have to look and be a certain way all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me too, the bodybuilding industry needs more people like you. That's a safe place for them to work through their internal and mental difficulties and struggles.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm going through constant phases.
Yeah.
There's prep, there's the diet, there's bulking, there's all these things and all these feelings that come with them. Like I'm fat or I'm not muscular enough. Or every day, it's like that for every bodybuilder. And I think having someone mentally help them work through those things and redirect their thoughts is so important. So I feel like you're valuable for everyone, but extremely crucial for the bodybuilding niche, at least for my scenario.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that because it's like I tell my 9-year-old, how you talk to yourself is everything. You have got to have amazing self-talk because literally you're talking to yourself all day long. Are you talking life into yourself or are you talking crap to yourself all day?
Yeah.
It matters. And it also is going to be a determiner of what your day is going to look like. So, and people that are in the bodybuilding industry, it is of the utmost importance to have phenomenal self-talk. That is going to be 90% of the game, 80% of the game for sure, is the mental part of it and how you talk to yourself and how you pump yourself up and the things that give yourself life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because if you're not doing that, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want to lift that next weight. You don't want to do that. You're going to be pissed about the cardio you got to do. You're going to be grouchy when you're talking to people. You know what I mean? So it's just, it kind of like snowballs into everything in your life.
Well, and two, like I've told you before, when you're super stressed, you hold on to water and it's very difficult for you to lose weight. And during that time when we started our first session, I was so high strung, so stressed. And, my food didn't have to get too terribly low and my cardio didn't have to get too terribly high this prep, which I'm grateful for. But I felt like I was doing those things and my weight still wasn't moving because I was so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And after our sessions, things started really picking up for me. Like I got to let go. I was so much less stressed. I was grateful and thankful to do my cardio, to wake up at 5 and to knock it out and to start my day off that way. And it just really changed the whole last weeks of my prep and in such a more positive experience.
I am so glad too. I really wanted to give that to you.
You did.
Yeah. I'm
It
so
was
glad
great.
it did. Yeah. So if anybody is struggling, with that, I hope they reach out to me because now I understand even more how hard it is on people who compete and go to shows. And I honestly, that's very mentally taxing.
Yeah, you're paying people a ton of money to judge you against other people.
Right. I think that's what I said to you when we got into this. I'm like, look, you're in the business of judging.
Literally, I pay people to judge me. It's
Yes.
nuts.
And I'm just like that. So that's hard. And you always want to set the example. I get that. But I think people appreciate the honesty and the transparency a lot more because, people, I know other women look at you and they're like, oh my God, I want to be just like Sam because damn. And that's a fact. So you have this pressure on you to be perfect and not let people think that you ever slip up or, have a moment. And we all have a moment. We all have a moment. So that, first of all, we all know. Second of all, who's going to be the first one to step up and be like, it's all right. It's fixable.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for coming on and doing this with me and telling people about your situation.
Of course. I'm happy to do it because I think, like I said, most everybody needs this. Unless they've had somebody really help them speak positivity into their life. I think everybody needs this because everyone struggles with beating themselves down every day.
Yeah.
So it's just not a battle that a lot of people can win on their own without the right tools. And you do that for them.
And hypnotherapy is not mainstream. So people are like, what is that? So
yeah, it's just like bodybuilding when we get a new client and they tell their family, oh, I'm doing bodybuilding. They're like, oh, you're going to starve yourself? No, it doesn't work that way. And then I'm sure the same thing with you, like hypnotherapy. What are you gonna?
Maybe cluck like a chicken.
Yeah.
Well, if you act up, no, just kidding. No, just kidding. And that's like, so I feel like on the podcast, people just begin to understand, and I'll debunk those myths, about hypnosis. It's just literally a relaxed state. We're in a state of trance several times a day. You just don't realize it. So, and I'll debunk all those things, but it is a powerful way to get to the heart of a problem. And I'm so grateful I get to do that for people. So anyway, thank you for being here. I love you.
I love you.
On to the next one.